All ages, welcome to Debate Crypto in a world where hopium collides with common sense. It's your boy, CryptoKeeper, and as always, the one and only Blockchain Crusader, Miguel. What is popping off tonight?
What's up, man? I'm doing good. Hope you're doing good too. So tonight on the podium, we got Axie Infinity able to scoop up some investment from Samsung nonetheless, right? So that's huge. After that, we got Jamie Dimon. How much money you could have been making with Bitcoin if you would just not listen to him.
He's such a snake.
Yeah, dude. So dirty, bro. And finally, to wrap it up, we've got 5 nations adopting Bitcoin by the end of 2022.
Sounds like some interesting topics. The one that I want to just hit on as we get in and get started, you guys need to put your boots on because with Jamie Dimon, the bull gets deep. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So let's get it on. Let's get it going. Let me get my screen share showing. Miguel, let the people know what to do. Smashing the likes and all that as I pull up this screen share here.
Guys, remember, if you're just jumping in here, first time on the live, hit that subscribe button. Jump out of the live chat, hit that like, jump back into the chat, drop your comments. We will be answering questions. We'll be answering comments as they go along. So let's keep it spicy. Let's keep it going.
Let's get it. Let's get it. So let's start off with, I've got my screen shared here, Miguel.
Yep.
Why this executive predicted Bitcoin will be legal tender in 5 countries by 2022. So Bitcoinist has followed closely the rollout of the Bitcoin law in El Salvador. Via the National Congress, this country gave Bitcoin the status of legal tender. The implications of this action are still under scrutiny, but point toward a new phase of adoption for the crypto industry. In a recent post, the CEO of crypto exchange BitMEX, Alexander Hopner, took a deeper look into the situation in El Salvador, the reasons why Bitcoin makes sense in developing countries, and the opposition given by financial international institutions. Hopner made the following prediction. He said, the executive based, I'm sorry, I literally jumped ahead. My prediction is at the end of this year, end of the next year, which would be the end of 2022, we'll have at least 5 countries that accept Bitcoin as legal tender. All of them will be developing countries. He goes further. The executive based his arguments on the importance of Bitcoin in countries such as El Salvador, long forgotten by the traditional finance system. They have little to no influence in the decisions that come from the U.S. Federal Reserve and the other major central banks around the globe. They usually impact the way their citizens live, trade, send money over from abroad. The pandemic has proven that central banks are willing to expand their monetary supply. We know that's true, right? Because, yeah, that's an understatement. Create inflation, yeah, and affect their population in order to maintain the system running. Bitcoin is a way to opt out of that system, or at very least, Hopner said, to choose to try something new. Guys, talk to Miguel. Talk to me about this. I think this. I love what's being said here, and I think that it's really interesting what kind of countries he's predicting and why. So let's talk about it. You're muted.
Oh, man. So, yeah, let's talk about it.
Things were going so well. We were doing so well without that mute button. Okay.
So, yeah, man. So let's keep going, right? Let's keep bringing it up. So basically, these countries, right? El Salvador and so on, right? Even Cuba, dude. Even Cuba. I'm experiencing with my own family in Cuba right now, right? Remittance payments is the way to go. Bitcoin is allowing these countries to give access to these people that are completely unbanked, right? Most people in Cuba, in my own home country, that I have experience with family members in there. So I'm not just talking out of left field, coming up with things and assuming what is happening in these countries. Talking to you directly from my experience in Cuba. Nobody has a bank account. My family never had a bank account. Nobody there has a bank account.
Are they not allowed to have bank accounts?
No, not that they're not allowed to. It's just there's no reason for them to hold money in there because they got no money in the first place, right? Wow. Whatever you got, you have cash, right? And you have to walk around with cash, buying your daily groceries, your daily stuff. There's no credit card system going on right now. They've started to implement a credit card system this year and are forcing people to get banked, right? But ever since before, banks have just been sitting there for absolutely no reason. Ain't nobody using banks. Nobody walks in there. That's probably the best job ever. So these remittance payments help these countries, right? My family right now, to send money, right, to my family members over there. Yeah. If we want to send $100, first we need to find somebody that is traveling to Cuba.
What do you mean by that?
That is literally going to physically travel there, right? There is no Western Union that you can send money over there anymore, right? Really? They got rid of that. Yeah, they got rid of that. Wow. But they got rid of that. So there's no Western Union that we can send Bitcoin, we can send dollars over there. So therefore, we need to find somebody that's going, give them the $100 physically in hand, right? Somebody you trust that's going to reach it to your family. And on top of that, they're going to charge you. They charge you $25 for the convenience of transferring the money for you, right? It's a business.
5%.
No, 25%, $25.
Well, $25 on $100 is 25%.
Well, yes, but like it's just $25 flat fee, right? It doesn't matter how much.
Like no matter how much you give.
Okay, yeah, but it's whatever. There is limits. You can't be sending $5,000, $10,000 or anything like that.
Right.
So you got to pay $25 to send this money. With Bitcoin right now, which we have done, they have their Bitcoin wallet over there. We have our Bitcoin wallet. We buy $100 of Bitcoin. Boop. Send it over there. We don't need to find somebody. We don't need nobody to travel. And hey, did you call them? Hey, did you get that money? Oh man, they scammed us. Oh crap, I'm not sending that money with that guy anymore. Right? You're saving $25. These countries are doing the same thing. Besides helping the countries and the people in the countries themselves are taking the foot of the US dollar off their neck and can say, now we can breathe. Now we have options of things we can do with our monetary policies, and we don't need to be begging at the feet and mercy of America to do this, right? I love America. I think America is the greatest country, but there are definitely things that could be better and improved. And other countries that are trying to develop and become a better, stronger country can't really do it under the rule that the United States has created with the dollar, right? With the pressure of having to do dollars. And like we said, this last 12 to 15 months, 40% of US dollars have been printed. How do these countries that hold dollars as reserves for their currency get affected by that, right? What can they even do about it? Absolutely nothing. Their economies are getting crushed and they have no say in what they can do. They have no other option. So Bitcoin is it for them.
That's wild, man. It actually goes on further to say that there are three major variables that will play an important role in basically fulfilling the prophecy of Bitcoin adoption, right? And it's remittances, politics, and inflation, right? And so
I just hit all three. I didn't even read the article.
Yeah, exactly. So the interesting thing that I find in this is that, and I guess I'm not going to read any further into the article, but I think it's very interesting how it started. I think originally when I thought of the idea of Bitcoin stepping on to the main stage, I think my mind was thinking, you know what, we need to have a massive, a United States, the UK, Australia, one of these big hitters step on the stage and say, hey, we're accepting Bitcoin as legal tender. And what I'm recognizing is Bitcoin's actually fulfilling its ultimate primary purpose, which was to be a peer-to-peer payment system that's decentralized, right? And this decentralization that is happening is literally actively fighting against something like, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but Cuba's a communist country, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And so actively Bitcoin is saying, hey, look, you can control everything about my life, but if people find value in Bitcoin and all I have is access to the internet for a small amount of time, I can send Bitcoin from place to place. And so it ultimately is fulfilling that ultimate prophecy, if you will, of being that peer-to-peer payment system. And so I think it's really cool for those that are Bitcoin purists, if you will, that say there's only Bitcoin and nothing else. And, I'm not a Maxie. I'm not Miguel, but I do believe
I
in
know
Bitcoin.
you're an XRP guy. That's
I
right.
think I think that ultimately, though, the biggest problem with that we're going to run into, right? So these developing countries are going to start using Bitcoin. They're using El Salvador as a test case, and then it will spread a little bit. But the thing is that they're using it as an accepted form of payment. It's not like they're making it their primary, national currency. And I think the reason that they're not going to do that is because people don't really at this point want to spend their Bitcoin because of the massive gains. And we're going to get into this in a little bit, talking about the Jamie Dimon story in particular, the massive gains that Bitcoin has had and is continuing to have. So if anything, what I could see is nations starting to have, so these smaller nations start to do this. Bitcoin continues to grow exponentially over time, and I could see some big countries saying, you know what, we're not going to accept it as quote legal tender, but we are going to use it as our reserves. And I don't know if I don't know the politics side of that enough to whether they have to accept it to use it as a reserve or how that works. But I guess what I'm saying is I could see them using it as a store of value for the country as a whole, because it continues to grow, it continues to expand, it continues to get better. So I think it's a pretty interesting concept all around. And I'm glad, Miguel, I will say this, I'm glad that your family is able to find some value in something like that, because I think all too often people are stuck, and I feel like they get into countries like Cuba and they say, well, wait a minute, what do I do? Right? I'm stuck.
Exactly.
I don't know what to do. And so I think it's really interesting. You have anything else you wanted to share on that, Miguel?
Yeah. So the sad part about that is that they always do it after the government says it's okay, right? At the beginning of the year, I was telling them about Bitcoin. They didn't believe me. And then what happened?
Oh, yeah.
Right? They didn't believe me. The Cuban government came out saying, hey, that's a scam with the Ponzi scheme. Don't get involved. We literally had a few weeks ago, maybe a month or two now, the Central Bank of Cuba literally came out and said, yeah, we're going to legalize, we accept and recognize Bitcoin for commercial purposes, yada, yada, yada. They're just starting to hear about that now, right? They're just starting to see other people making money on Bitcoin. They're like, wait a minute. So it's not a Ponzi scheme? Okay, now I want in, right? And on top of what you were saying with these other countries, I don't know if they need to legalize it as a legal tender to accept it as reserves either. I'm not 100% clear on that. I would probably assume that, yes, if they're going to be holding it as a reserve, there probably has to be some type of legal tender form for the government to hold it. And the thing is the best thing is that they're not saying, hey, Bitcoin is the only thing we're going to accept. You can no longer use US dollars, right? They're just saying, if you want US dollars, go ahead. It's possible. But if you also want Bitcoin, it's also possible. Either one is fine with us. And whether you use US dollars, we're going to take that, buy more Bitcoin and hold it for our reserves. If you use Bitcoin, we're going to keep that Bitcoin. We're going to keep holding it long term. So either way, it's a great thing. It's not like some people have twisted it to think that they're using Bitcoin only. They're forcing people onto Bitcoin.
Right.
Nobody's forcing anybody onto Bitcoin. It's just another option for you if that is what you want. So that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, speaking of, that's a really good point, Miguel. And speaking of the U.S. dollar, which is the almighty, the one and only reign supreme for the entire world, which is how our lovely banks like to portray this to you. Let's talk about Jamie Dimon. So, by the numbers, how much Bitcoin has soared since Jamie Dimon told you not to buy it? Okay. So, if you don't know who Jamie Dimon is, he is the CEO of JP Morgan Chase. For those of you that have been following me, you know that I have a big bone to pick with Chase currently. My construction business, I have all of my money with Chase, right? And I use them on a regular basis for a number of things. And recently, I tried to do a crypto transaction, which I've been doing crypto transactions for years, and not had any problems. And I all of a sudden was blocked from making said transactions. And I said, wait a minute, you're not going to stop me from spending my own money. And essentially they said, yeah, we are. You're not going to spend it that way. And I was absolutely beside myself, and I am actively searching to get all of my money out of Chase as we speak. So let me read into this article. Let me dive in here. The CEO of banking giant JP Morgan Chase, which is Jamie Dimon, attacked Bitcoin one more time. In a recent event with the Global Association of the Financial Industry, that's the IFF, the executive reiterated the position he has maintained for several years. It's Bitcoin has no value. Let's pause for a second. Bitcoin has no value. Okay, just want to let that sink in for a second, guys. We're at 57,000, by the way. Ever since Bitcoin started gaining more traction as an alternative investment to traditional finances, Dimon has been there to dismiss the cryptocurrency as an illicit medium of exchange, a fraud, a scam, and has been known for predicting the death of Bitcoin. In the meantime, Bitcoin's price has continued to increase. According to the pseudonym Bitcoin Investors Bitstein, the cryptocurrency records a 7,000% profit since January 23rd, 2014, when Dimon first made a comment on Bitcoin for CNBC. At the time, the banking executive called the cryptocurrency a, quote, terrible store of value. I am going to finish this one, Miguel, because it's a short one. Calculations made by the community member indicate that a person that started buying $1 worth of Bitcoin on that date for over 4 years would have made a $2,817 investment. Due to the increase in the price of Bitcoin, the invested capital would now be worth over $170,000. In contrast, an investment in JP Morgan Chase has a 97% loss in a 5-year period when compared to Bitcoin, a 65 and 30% loss in a year and 3-month period, respectively. And so it goes on to explain Bitcoin a little bit further. Miguel, what are your first thoughts when you hear this, when you look at this article?
So yeah, man, first thought is obviously he's been completely wrong about predicting the death of Bitcoin ever since 2014, right? So why even listen to the same guy that keeps talking trash about Bitcoin, yet has been exposed multiple times over and over that he's been buying Bitcoin in the background, right? He came out even to say in an interview that if he were to catch anybody in his company buying or recommending Bitcoin to any investor or whatever, he would fire them on the spot. And soon after that, it was revealed that he was buying Bitcoin every time he spoke and Bitcoin was dumping, he was scooping up Bitcoin.
What a scumbag.
He's even come out, yeah, exactly right. He's even come out this year to say that Bitcoin is going to 5x or something about 5x or something in the next 5 years or something like that. It was probably bigger than 5x in the next 5 years. And now he comes out again and says, well, but it's worthless, right? It's going to, make lots of money in the next 5 years, but it's worthless. Don't buy that. Just leave it to me. I'll buy that to protect you guys from it.
Here's the thing. I hate these banks because they are intellectually dishonest. They are not telling you the truth. When he tells you that Bitcoin is a scam, Bitcoin is a fraud, listen, as much as you might not like him, this is an intelligent man, okay? This is not somebody that is stupid. And that's part of my problem. You have someone that ultimately knows his position, knows it's a position of power, and knows that he has the ability to possibly, right, affect these markets, and he can keep the prices down. It is a scumbag move, 100%. Listen, you're telling people you will fire them, these people that work their butts off for you for a menial wage, whatever that may be, while you're purling around in however many Rolls Royces you have or whatever the case may be, flying in your private jet. Get out of here, man. That's not a good way to live.
Yeah, I mean, if he doesn't believe in Bitcoin and he thinks Bitcoin is worthless, I would like to see what his thoughts are on 40% of the US dollar supply being printed in the last 12 months. Right?
Yeah.
What do you say about a currency that can be inflated and manipulated that heavily in such a short period of time? Yeah. You can't do that with Bitcoin.
Yep. check this out. It actually goes further into the article. It says the 21 million Bitcoin fixed supply, why Dimon is a non-believer. 5 months ago, as Bitcoinist reported, Dimon was making different predictions for Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto market. Sitting at an estimated value of $2 trillion, the executive claimed that it could potentially hit over 2x times that in the next years. Furthermore, Dimon said that the more regulations are necessary for the crypto industry to reach those levels. The comments were made at the Investment Company Institute annual meeting, where CEO of JP Morgan Chase also took on the opportunity to attack Bitcoin. I'm not a fan of Bitcoin, but forget whether I am or not. There should be legal, regulatory, tax-related framework, AML, around crypto. It's now worth $2 trillion. When are they going to say, oh my God, this is worthy of our attention? You know what, Jamie? It's been worthy of your attention for a long time, and you've known this, right? That's where I have a hard time, right? He knows it, and he is actively fudding the market.
Yeah, dude. And not just that, but to just jump in real quick. Yeah. The fact that he comes out and says Bitcoin is worthless, and then comes out and says, well, don't worry about whether I like it or not. And they need to give their attention to this, because this is important. So it does have some value. It is important. You just personally are using your personal bias to FUD the markets and influence other people to think like you, even though that might not even be how you really feel about it.
Yep. Yeah, no doubt. And the thing is like, at the end of the article, Michael Saylor poses this question, and he says, let's see right here. It says, the critical question faced by bankers and investors worldwide is, do you understand Bitcoin? And so let me touch on that. So people fear things when they don't understand them. Okay. That is a fact. People fear what they don't understand. Now, you've got someone sitting here saying, don't buy this, it's bad, it's bad, it's bad, it's bad. It's the same thing as one of your buddies that liked your girlfriend back in high school. They talk bad about her, right? They tell you all the bad things that she is. They don't, you need to stay away from her, all of this, right? Then you catch him making out with her at the next party down the street, right? And that's exactly what's happening here. Jamie Dimon is making out with your high school girlfriend, right? That is exactly what's happening. And he knows it. I know it. You know it. And everyone watching this should absolutely know that. Jamie Dimon is a girlfriend stealer, okay? He is not being honest. So yeah, guys, I just hate this. I hate seeing it. I will say he knows that it's incredibly valuable. He knows that by telling you that it's not valuable, he knows that he can hopefully keep and drive prices down. And in the meantime, what can he do with that? Oh, I'll tell you what he can do with that. He can continue to spend his billions of dollars on Bitcoin. So yeah, it's kind of disgusting.
Yeah, it's about the transfer of wealth, right? Whoever gets in on the front end of the transfer of wealth becomes even wealthier in the future, right? These are wealthy people that are seeing what is happening with the dollar. And if you've read the Bitcoin standard, you would know what a transfer of wealth is and how it's happened multiple times to every single currency that has ever existed in the history of mankind, because every currency has one point gone to zero. And the only way to survive that is to jump onto the next currency that has wealth, that will make wealth for you. And the people that have either jumped from a poor status to a wealthy status have been those people that have identified that next currency ahead of time. And the wealthy that have stayed wealthy or even become wealthier and more powerful also have identified that and have dumped the previous currency for the next one. And this is what's happening with Bitcoin and the US dollar, right? Yeah. Not saying that that Bitcoin is guaranteed to be the future world reserve currency or whatever, but there is a transfer of wealth happening between the legacy system in fiat and crypto. And Bitcoin, at the end of the day, is the father of all Bitcoin, of all other cryptocurrencies. Yep. So where Bitcoin goes, the crypto markets go with it. So therefore, if you're not believing in Bitcoin, then you're not going to believe in any other cryptocurrency right now. Because if Bitcoin can't survive currently, no other altcoin is going to survive without Bitcoin right now. And that is the biggest transfer of wealth of our generation, of our lifetime, in the next 100 to 200 years, for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. And the last thing that I think about is people are encouraged to save, right? Now, all of a sudden, we have this opportunity to not put money in savings and start putting it into Bitcoin and letting it do its thing there. No matter where we store it, guess where it's not? It's not in the savings account, right? And so I think that's the other part of it too. In my thinking is that if he was such a freaking genius, I think he would have made a ton more money doing this. Okay, fine, on the front end, he's still trying to figure out his moves, whatever, but he knows that it's going to be incredibly valuable. He buys. And in the process, he says, you know what? We could be first to custody Bitcoin as a centralized bank. Why not capitalize on this opportunity? Now, I don't know the particulars on that. I don't know, how realistic that is. But what I do know is that somebody like Jamie Dimon, if he really pressed to make it happen and was able to let people or help people understand what it was, I think the opportunity would be there.
I believe he's not allowed to. I believe people like him are not allowed to come out and say things like that and start pushing towards those types of
I could see that
stuff, right? There's too many people around him that, even though he has a lot of influence, will not allow that to happen. And at the end of the day, it's a big social club. They all know each other. They're all friends, and nobody wants to backstab another friend and hurt another friend. And if one friend steps out of line, there's going to be a lot of other friends waiting there to push them back into the circle and say, hey, you know what it's like, you know what the requirements are to be part of this club. So if you want to keep your head on straight, stick to the script.
Stick to the script. That's a really good point, Miguel. That's a super good point. So speaking of big, large companies doing interesting things with their money or for their money or whatever the case may be, Samsung is involved in Axie Infinity. So Samsung backs blockchain-based gaming, invests in Axie Infinity. For those of you who don't know, it goes farther in this article. I'm going to read some of it, but Axie Infinity is basically the best way I could describe it would be like it is an NFT, a play-to-earn NFT game that is like Pokemon. And so let me jump into this here. So
the ugliest Pokemon
ever. South Korean conglomerate Samsung is increasingly involved in the world of blockchain-based gaming, while within Korea, games with blockchain events are banned from official release in the country. I actually just did a TikTok video about this a little bit ago because I think it's really interesting. So here's a little picture of what little Axie ad there. So fast facts. Samsung Next, the tech giant's investment subsidiary, participated in a $152 million Series B round of Sky Mavis, the Vietnam-based blockchain game company and developer of the popular play-to-earn game Axie Infinity. Samsung has previously invested in blockchain game developers, including Dapper Labs, the creator of CryptoKitties, and Hong Kong-based Animoca Brands. Kim Jong-soo, professor of the industrial management and engineering at, I'm not going to be able to say that university correctly, says the reason for Samsung's investment is simply for high ROI, which is return on investment. Samsung knows that Axie Infinity is the hottest thing right now, as it did with CryptoKitties before. Furthermore, it could mean that the company recognizes how prominent blockchain and NFTs have become, Kim said. I love this. I absolutely, Miguel, we have been talking about blockchain, NFT, play to earn gaming, blockchain based gaming, right? We've been talking about it. We are waiting for a number of these newer games with the wild graphics and the ability to actually almost be involved in a metaverse to come out, right?
Yes.
And we have talked about even further the idea that the metaverse is where we're headed in the future. I think the step in between real world right now and metaverse, I think the step in between is a lot of these blockchain based gaming, these NFT play to earn games, because what I think it does is it introduces people into a different
mindset. It sets you into a different mindset.
That's exactly what it is. That's fantastic. That's perfect. It puts people in a different mindset. It says to them, hey, look, you can play these games, but you can have real world results. And when people recognize, hey, wait a minute, I can actually earn money and play a game. Wait a minute, I thought I just paid money to play games. Now I can, hold on a second. And then that calculation, like turning, thinking, and that starts to happen. But then once it actually clicks and they actually see it happen, they play the game, they earn, they say, wait a minute, now this is where it's at. Yeah. This is where it's at. Talk to me about play to earn games.
Dude, imagine all these hours that people put into Call of Duty, all these hours of their lives that people put into GTA 5, all the hours that people put into Assassin's Creed, Skyrim, and so much on, right? Hundreds of hours of their lives. And what do they have? Bragging rights at most. That is it. That's all they have from that. And then that doesn't count all the money that they put into the games to get certain skins, to get certain items, to do whatever, right? These games are changing the whole game around, right? The whole, different game now, where you can dedicate hundreds of hours of your life and you're going to make hundreds of dollars back. Right. It might be a little expensive to get in. Like, oh man, Axie Infinity is $1,500 to get in right now.
I don't think they're all going to be like that though.
I understand that as well, right? Different games will have different entries to barriers to entry.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, you pay $60 or $70 for Call of Duty every year. If you start adding that up over the past couple of years, that's hundreds of dollars. It's not 1,500, but it's hundreds of hours. And then you start calculating all the hundreds of hours of your life that you have wasted on this game, and it's giving you nothing back financially. It's more expensive than the $1,500 to pay upfront to Axie and be making easy between $1,500 to $2,500 maybe a month, right? If you have a solid Axie team. There have been people around the world quitting their day jobs that suck, that they hate their lives, to just play Axie Infinity as a full-time career, right? We know that Axie Infinity is coming out with scholarship programs to literally give people the opportunity as a job application. You apply, and then they give you the Axies, you play with them, you make money, they take a percentage, you keep a percentage. You don't even have to make an investment. The only investment is your time. And why not? Why not play a game that can make you money? Yes, Axie Infinity right now is not the most funnest game to possibly play. Probably not the most visually attractive game to play. But that will change with time. With time, you will see more and more games. People that are are big gamers right now have probably heard of a game called New World. Right? Yeah. I don't know if you heard of that game. Have you heard of that game?
No.
So New World is an RPG MMO game where you can do kind of absolutely everything. There's this gigantic map. It's open world, and you have different factions you can join. You can do all kinds of skills from skinning animals.
Is it like Rust?
It's not like Rust. It doesn't have guns. It's more like swords and stuff.
Okay.
And it's a survival kind of thing. You can PvP, you can kill other players. PvE, it has a story, it has missions, and all the things in the game can be crafted, right? You can craft a lot of different things from the different resources you find. In blockchain gaming, that's going to be the same thing, except all these skins, all these resources in the game that you're crafting could be sold back to the community for real life money versus just regular in-game currency. And you're actually going to be able to be making a business out of the time that you're dedicating to these games.
Yeah, some of the games that you and I have looked into, Miguel, they have the ability to, or at least they are claiming to have the ability when they come out, to be able to set up a shop. So like, all right, so you get into the game, you essentially start playing, you buy a plot of land, you set up a shop, you sell NFTs, which are, for the game, for people to play with. You make money off of selling those NFTs. I'm not sure how you get them or how all of those particulars work. You probably earn them in the game, set up shop, and then you're able to sell them and make money, rent them out, make money. They literally have endless different thought processes and cool ideas on how to make money while playing games. That thought is very new, and I think where it's stemming from is this idea of this metaverse. I think that as we get pushed more and more to be separated from people, to be 6 feet apart, to be hands washed and scared of everybody, and I'm not kidding. I think that it is priming people to say, you know what? Miguel and I are best friends. We live in different states. We never see each other. Never shook the man's hand. He's my business partner, but this is fine because I'll just see him tomorrow morning in the metaverse. What do you mean, right? And so yeah, we're in 2021 where we can do what we're doing right now and have this face-to-face interaction, right? But it goes so much further, and I think these games are introducing people to the idea of that in a more soft approach. I think it is easing people up into the idea of a metaverse. And I think when Facebook does introduce the metaverse, I think that people will have been what's the word I'm looking for here? They've been molded and
primed.
And what's that?
Primed.
Yes, and primed to say, you know what, this isn't weird. This is what people do. People make money by doing and playing games. And now,
Exactly.
I've got a little store that I can run here, and this, that, and the third. And then all of a sudden, we're totally digital. We're living in this nether world, right?
Yep.
And I think it's going to be wild. I think it's going to be scary, and I think it might be a little bit crazy.
It seems crazy to us, right? But younger generations will find it normal. That is the thing. There are kids right now that are 5, 6 years old. In the next 15 to 20 years, when the metaverse has become more of a normalized thing, us older generations are still going to be wrapping our heads like, I cannot believe people are living a whole second life on here, running businesses on here. And we're going to have the new generation of 15, 16, 20-year-olds making whatever TikTok version content on there and saying, hey guys, how to make passive income, how to get rich in the metaverse, creating online businesses, right? Just how drop shipping became a big thing overnight for younger generations and running businesses online. That's going to be the same thing for them on the metaverse. It's just going to be natural to them. They're going to see absolutely nothing wrong with it and completely adopt it 100%.
Yeah, I think it's going to be wild. I think we are in for a wild ride. I am I'm more and more often called boomer now, which, for the record, I am not a boomer. I am 37 years old. I think technically that just makes me an old millennial. I think I'm on the very, very, very end of being I'm an old millennial. So before we jump off here, let's address, I think there might be a couple questions.
Yeah, we got some good question here.
Yeah. So Sean says, how will AI interact with the metaverse? Miguel, that is a you question.
So AI, I think AI would be, every game needs a game master, right? Somebody running the game engine in the background.
Behind the curtain.
Exactly, right? Making sure, right? Running all the anti-cheating, running all the calculations, everything in the background. And I think AI will enhance that experience, right? And AI will definitely help with user experience. It'll be taking feedback constantly about how people are interacting with certain objects in the metaverse, how they're feeling in certain parts of the metaverse, in certain situations, whether they're in a coffee shop or whether they're in the middle of a field fighting some monsters or they're in a PvP battle. They're going to be the AI is going to be able to do machine learning and understand how people are feeling in those moments through facial recognition, through eye contact, right? How their eyes are moving, what things are people avoiding looking at in the metaverse. And it's going to be taking all this feedback and saying, okay, we need to improve this spot, we need to improve this thing, we need to make this, we need to downgrade this a little bit. I think this is a little bit too intense, people are not liking this. And it's just going to be constantly upgrading the game in the background, and it's going to upgrade games quicker than what developers can in the current moment, right? AI is at one point or another will be able to program themselves, right? They will be able to program, so they will be able to access code in the games and fix code and add code to make the game even better and enhance it without having developers having to do that themselves. So that is how AI is going to really interact with the metaverse.
That's when it gets pretty scary, though. When the machines are actually learning and continuing to educate themselves and be able to make changes for themselves. And then all of a sudden you're interacting with something that is learning from your interactions. Oh God.
Yeah, and we're not far away. That is already
I know we're not.
happening. That's
I know
already
we're not.
happening. They
I know.
already exist. They're
I
just
know.
not mainstream.
I know. It is wild. Do we have any other questions
Yeah,
real
we have
quick?
another question from Sean as well, saying here, will NFTs replace Twitch viewing royalties? Very interesting question. I've been trying to think about this question. I saw it in the chat. Do you have any thoughts on it?
Will NFTs replace Twitch viewing royalties? I'm trying to understand how the NFTs. So I guess okay. Here's the thing. They could, okay, but it would need to be the NFTs would need to be a form of currency, right? And so yes, NFTs right now have value, right? And but it's very much subjective, right? You could think something's worth 5 ETH and somebody else says that's absolutely not worth anything, just like regular art is. So I think the trouble there would be the NFTs would have to be exactly, and how do I say this? They would have to be put out as what they are, and they would have to be what they are. Like they would
Yeah.
just have to be a thing in and of themselves, of a common value. You have this many NFTs that is worth this. Do you see what I'm saying? Like I
Yeah,
think it
yeah,
would
I
have to
understand
almost
what you're
be like
saying.
a stable NFT versus, oh, guess what? I got, like it's almost like was like a lottery drawing or something. I
Yeah.
don't think that will work.
Yeah, I don't think NFTs are going to replace. The more I think about it, I don't think they're going to replace royalties being paid out to
Right.
these content creators. But I think NFTs could play a big role in Twitch and
Gifts,
content creators, right?
gifts.
They
What if the gifts that we get on TikTok, right?
Or
What if
NFTs.
those are in? Yeah. What if we start getting those as NFTs instead of like checking our account and seeing how much money we've got from the
But
gifts
the
or whatever?
problem with
What if they're
NFTs is that they're very illiquid assets. So like how would that content creator then cash out of those NFTs back into US dollars, right? Or whatever currency they want to cash out to.
Well, I
I
mean, think
think
about it. What if you are what think about it, just like how TikTok sells you those right now, right? They could be selling NFTs. You
Mhm.
sell them back into the marketplace and it keeps a never-ending money flow going throughout. I'm just saying like that
Yeah,
could
yeah,
be
that's
a
that's
way for it
definitely a
to work.
possibility. Yeah,
I
those
don't know.
all those little gift things. That's a good point. That's a good point. I didn't
Yeah.
think about that. I
Yeah.
think about that. I also thought, NFTs could just be something that Twitch streamers or whatever content creators could then eventually create their own collection through the platform. And the platform's like, okay, now you have 1,000 followers. You are now
Okay.
allowed to open an NFT collection and instead of selling merch, you could be selling NFT collection items that you create or we auto generate for you to your audience, and they get VIP access to certain things. They get certain benefits for buying these NFTs off of you, and it's just another type of income stream for
Yeah.
the content
I
creators.
think the real world use case where the
Mhm.
NFT bridges that gap between the digital, whether it's art, whether it's actual, a license or whatever it may. I think that bridging that gap is going to be super important.
Yeah.
Do we have anything else we want to touch on, Miguel? Or we
No, I think we're good. I think we're
okay?
good.
Cool. Guys, listen, if you didn't already do this, make sure you subscribe here to Debate Crypto. We really appreciate the time. X out of the live chat, smash up the likes. We will be here at least Monday, Wednesday, and Saturdays. And so we have Monday, which is Magic Money Monday. Wednesday is What If Wednesday. That's like the deep thinking night, right? And Saturday is Saturday Night Live. On Fridays, once a month, we are going back to doing the influencer poker game. And we would love to have you guys show up. We talk about topics, put those topics on the table, as well as have some friendly, albeit actually real money type poker games. And so we would love to have you guys join for that. Listen, last thing I do want to say, if you guys are searching, if you are right now coming into the crypto space and you don't really know what to do, you don't know what you don't know the questions to ask, and your hands are up and you're saying, what do I do? Right? We want to be able to help that person. You can invest in yourself at all times by looking things up on the internet. But if you don't know what to look for, you don't know. So you got to figure out somewhere to start. First of all, as always, read the Bitcoin Standard. That is fantastic. That will be crucial. I'll show it real quick on screen. This is the Bitcoin Standard. If you guys need to screenshot that, there it is, the Bitcoin Standard by Safeton Amos. And lastly, once you do that, or even before you do that, if you're looking for somebody to kind of help lead, guide, and direct you towards education, lead, guide, and direct you towards putting together a game plan for the crypto space, Miguel and I have debatecrypto.academy. So this is Debate Crypto on YouTube. We've got debatecrypto.academy. We do private, and I do mean private, right? We do private seminars every single week that the community gets to vote on. Guys, I cannot tell you how much value that has. Check us out, debatecrypto.academy. Every single one of you guys, thank you for stopping by. Until next time, hodl like it's hot.